Hello and welcome to another episode of the Firearms Insider Gun and Gear Review Podcast. This is episode 57. On this show, we showcase gun reviews, gear, and anything else a gun enthusiast may be looking for. We strive to evaluate products from an unbiased and honest perspective. I'm your host, Ryan Cross from the Firearms Radio Network, your source for broadcasts for shooters, hunters, and gun enthusiasts. Bandwidth for this episode is brought to you by Action Target. I have with me the original two guests of the show, TJ and Sam. How's it going, guys?
It's going fantastic. I love the expedited introduction.
Bam!
Hey, Ryan, doing pretty good. I know I don't know if it actually made it to the podcast last week, but if it did, I have to apologize for my terrible butting in. My internet was just being awful last week.
Yeah, it's no problem. We're having a little bit of technical things again today, this week too, but we're up and we're going. Fingers crossed, we're gonna make this work. So, did anyone do any shooting this week?
I did not.
Same here. I got a new holster that I'm promptly returning because I'm not satisfied with it and getting a different holster. But other than that, I didn't do much.
Yeah.
I bought another gun last Friday. I've been buying a lot of shit. Stuff. Oops. I've been buying a lot of stuff. I've been putting payments on a lot of stuff because in New Jersey I'm still waiting for my pistol permits. So I still have a third permit to figure out what I want to get. But so I'm just kind of spending money and not having a lot of enjoyment out of it recently. But we'll see.
Yeah, is that what I heard you mention on the Guns of Hollywood? You said you just have to get a bunch of permits and then just buy as much as you can in that quarter of the year or something along those lines?
Well, it's like, if you got to wait a month plus, month is if you're lucky, 1 to 2, some cases 6 months to get a piece of paper that the state says you're allowed to buy a pistol. And if you have 3 of those, you have to wait 30 days in between them to use them. When you finally get around to doing that, that's why you don't just get one at a time. You apply for 3 permits because it's such a pain. You got to pay for your background check. You get double background check because you pay for the one to get the pistol permit. Then when you go buy the pistol, you have to do your NICS and get another background check. So it's you don't just buy one. So I got 3 of them coming. I can't stop buying old crusty shotguns for some reason. I'm on a single barrel break action kick.
Nice.
That I can't stop for some reason. I just have a thing for them. But
you need to find my buddy just picked up a Sears and Roebuck J.C. Higgins pump shotgun. You need to check these things out. It's got a muzzle brake on it that's it's floating. It's got a shroud that's pinned to the barrel, and then that's threaded at the end, and so your choke threads onto the end of the shroud, and so there's an inch gap to where your shot or your slug or your bird shot or buckshot is passing through the air from the barrel into the choke. It's supposedly it worked fine back in the day.
A VersaChoke system?
I think I've heard of that. I think they call it a spreader.
Yeah, VersaChoke. It's you kind of screw it to adjust which choke level you want.
Oh, I think there's different ones you screw in and out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so you obviously don't want the full choke in when you're shooting slugs, but it's it looks like it goes on the end of a World War II FG-42. It's just such a gnarly shroud with ports in it. Yeah, and they're really cheap, I guess.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
They're under $200. So also it looks like this week we got Nick the handgun newbie.
I was going to say, I just came in and you guys were talking about screwing and choking. This is my kind of show.
All right.
I just want my damn rifle to show up.
What rifle are you waiting for?
That Ruger Ranch.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the 300 Blackout.
I'm playing with 300 Blackout right now just to appease my wanting of that rifle.
Very nice.
And the good thing is we discussed it when they announced it when I was on the show, and we said good things about it. So I don't have to backtrack anything. That's a plus.
Yeah, I was talking to Nick yesterday, and he said, hopefully I didn't bash it too hard. And then he said, I just re-listened to the episode. It wasn't bad. So I don't sound like an asshole now. Oh, sorry about that one.
Man, I'm gonna have to do a lot of editing on this one. So yeah, I'm selling a 300 Blackout AR pistol because I think I would get much more use out of a Blackout in a bolt action rifle and also be quieter and more accurate. So that's what I'm kind of looking at, and I'm hoping Nick gets his and has some good things to say about it because I might be right behind him.
Well, I joined a 300 Blackout forum specifically because there was a guy that had a Ruger, and he put sub MOA groups together. Now, granted, he's a hand loader, so he worked up some loads, but yeah, he showed the pictures of it. He put it in the it was probably under a half an inch group at 100 yards and 50 for that matter.
That's pretty awesome.
Cost-wise too, like you got to reload for 300 Blackout.
Yeah.
My friend does it, and he has like this whole process, like a couple of specialized tools and whatnot. Like, but basically, he Dremels off the 223 brass, trims it, shapes it, does it to length and all that stuff, and he ends up with 300 Blackout brass. And I mean, he hardly shoots the thing as is, but it's kind of cost prohibitive if you want to shoot it with any regularity, because off-the-shelf stuff is very expensive still.
Yeah, what I found is Freedom Munitions is pretty much the cheapest out there, but it's reloads.
Mm-hmm.
It's right here.
I've heard Freedom's got good stuff.
They're such dirty little rounds. I love them.
I have 150 rounds plus 40 rounds of the Hornady 110 grain VMAX. So.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and before this, I was just talking to TJ. Like, I don't have an optic for it yet, so I'm driving to Vortex tomorrow. Actually, on that episode, I mentioned that if you drive to Vortex, they supposedly have an awesome discount. So I'm going to find that out tomorrow. But if they don't,
where are they located?
Middleton, Wisconsin. It's west of Madison. But if they don't, Tasco, here I come, baby. I just need to work for one shot. I just want one shot.
There you go.
I'm pretty sure I'm not even going to fire a shot because I've never gotten a deer. So.
Well, believe it or not, this isn't the Gun Guy radio. This is actually Gun and Gear Review. It's just rare that we have so many gun guys on the show. But let's kind of get back to the announcements for the podcast. We're still giving away a Negrini handgun case to a potential listener who leaves us an iTunes review. So we've done 2 reviews on the Firearms Radio website, or on the Firearms Insider website. If you're not familiar with the Negrini handgun case, well, Sam and I did a review. They're awesome, really nice, sexy, I would even say, sexy handgun cases from
Definitely
Italy.
sexy.
And you can win. Yeah, you can win one by just leaving us a review in iTunes. So not just a little star rating. You got to leave us an actual written review. It doesn't have to be all that long. You can see the ones that are on there. It kind of gives you an idea what a review format is. But just tell us how you feel, how you like the show, yada yada. And then you have to email me, cross@firearmsradio.tv, with your name, your iTunes username, and your address. And then you'd be entered to win. And the deadline is actually next week, so the November 25th. And then on the 28th, the podcast will drop on the 28th, which will announce the winner, unless you watch live on the 25th. So that's all the announcements. Let's get into the good stuff, man. We got some good products to talk about, and I'm very anxious to hear from all 3 of you guys on what you think. The first one is Springfield Armory's new XD, the Mod 2. So, sound off. Who wants to go first?
Boo! Boo!
They should have put more labels on it. I know where the hand goes.
There's not enough writing on it.
Where's the bullet zone? I need to know where the bullets go in and come out.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of XDs to begin with. To each their own. They're not terribly uncomfortable in the hand, but just overall, I think there's too much going on to begin with.
What do you mean too much going on there? You grab it and pull the trigger, Sam.
No, I just like you don't need a grip safety. What are you doing with that nonsense?
Amen.
But basically, what this thing speaks to me is Springfield's playing catch up In the same way, like let me put it this way, like so Agent K came out with the VP9, right? That was like a step forward in the whole like grip customization game. This is like a backpedal, hopefully play catch up in the grip customization game.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
kind of agree there.
they're
But
like
before we
late.
get
They're
too
like
far,
late to the party. They're like late to the party with like a completely inadequate party favor. You know, H and K like blew the roof off the grip game, and here these are guys like, oh, we do it too. No, you don't. You know, this is like, from what I can tell, is like, you know, a pinch better than the Glock customization.
yeah. Well, before we get too far into bashing it too much, maybe we ought to explain what's actually going on with this Mod 2. I guess it's basically an XD Gen 2, but they're just calling it, you know, Mod 2. But what they did, it looks like they added some stippling to the front and back straps of their grips, and I believe they also shortened the length of the grip, like from, I don't know, front to back, I guess you could say, make it a little smaller circumference for people with smaller hands, I suppose. And they also heightened the beaver tail a little bit to make a slightly lower bore axis. What else did they do? Change the slide ergonomics a little bit. Can't remember what else.
I mean, that was kind of a lot of people's gripes with the XD, was that height over bore, or basically the bore axis of it was a lot higher than a lot of other pistols. And so, you know,
it
that
still is.
I mean, it still is, but if what TJ is saying is true, if like that kind of helped bring the barrel down a little bit.
I don't think maybe much. I don't think they changed it a whole lot. Just from looking at the picture, there's really not much room they could take away from that beaver tail.
The slide cuts just make it look fancier. Like,
could be.
Because the old, like the original, like plain Jane XD, like that slide looks huge, and it looks like the barrel's like floating out in outer space. But this one's like, you know, it's like when a fat person wears stripes.
Yeah, it
like, and I'm speaking from experience, believe me, guys. Like, you know, black is slimming. Apparently, the cuts on this slide are slimming. This is coming from a complete place of not a general liking for XDs, so that's my bias.
Yeah, I don't think Sam likes anything though, so there's that.
No, I like a lot of things. I love Glocks.
But I think one of the main criticisms I saw from pretty much everybody that commented on it, they're calling their new stippling technology, they're calling it the grip zone, trying to be all edgy, I guess. And so they engrave that into the grip. It's part of the molding process of the polymer grip, which is kind of ridiculous to me. It just says grip zone on the side of the gun. I think I've been optimistic and hoping that that's just for the prototype, you know, the ones you see in the shop just to show off, you know, the non-firing demo type guns that just stay grip zone just to advertise it. Hopefully that's not going to be on the final production run of the guns. But
if they do that, I'll just laugh all the way.
Yeah.
To wherever I'm going, because it's not the bank, because I ain't getting money to buy this thing.
Yeah, the grip zone thing is what confuses me, for the fact of that is a place where you could put more texture. So instead of being all edgy and, you know, to me it's like they named like their gun like, you know, because all these dance clubs like give themselves weird names like Envision and Chair and stuff. Like it's kind of like what they did on this gun, but instead of putting grips on there, like I like that pebbling. To me, when I first saw it, it reminded me kind of the Gen 3 Glock pebble. I know it's a little different, but that's what kind of reminded me of, which I like a lot.
It looks a little more aggressive than that Gen 3 Glock too, so it's probably a pretty good grip. But then, like you're saying, they have a huge gap in it just to print grip zone.
Well, I think that may go. Obviously, this is a small pistol. You know, they're vying for a carry market. I think the logic is they removed down to the bare essentials of necessary gripping surface, where most of your strength and sturdiness in your grip, or that the traction that you gain, is really the front and the back. Whereas if you eliminate some of the sections that don't, you know, necessarily require the stippling, you're less likely to snag or abrade. It'll make it more comfortable and smoother. Maybe that's like the logic.
Yeah, could be.
I mean, they did increase kind of the well right where your ring finger would be. They call it the high hand grip relief, and I mean that's a modification a lot of people do on polymer frame pistols, including Glocks, to maybe be able to get their middle finger a little higher up underneath the trigger guard. So that's kind of nice that they did that. I just don't know about holding it myself how well that is. I know that on this subcompact grip or a subcompact frame, in order for me to get 2 fingers on there or 3, I will very much need that extra room, as most people will.
Yeah.
So it is available in 9 and 40. I don't know if we mentioned that.
No, I don't believe so.
And
it
the
also
9 has a capacity. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was going to say for now it's only available in their subcompact model. So, but I imagine they're going to carry it over to their compact and full-size models too. They're just kind of testing the waters with this one, I imagine.
I mean, to me, I do think what they did is I mean, come on, the XD, XDSs, those grips were like a cheese grater. What they had before. So I mean, is it an up? If you're an XD fan, is this an upgrade? I think so. So I think for at least XD fans out there that this is a positive. Again, I'm not an XD guy, but I think for them it's a win for those that like it.
Yeah, I definitely think it's got a lot of pluses over the original XD. I think even the slide's a little bit slimmer, or the frame, whichever the thickest point is. I think they made it just a hair thinner, just for easier comfort when you're carrying it.
Yeah, I think they did slim the slide a little bit more.
And it looks like it comes standard to the fiber optic sight. I don't know if all XDs do that, the front sight.
They do.
I know some of them do. Do they all? Okay.
Yeah. At least all the ones I've seen come through our shop.
Okay.
Yeah, the original XDs only had 3-dot white.
Okay.
So, but all the new ones like the XDSs and stuff do.
Okay.
So, but yeah, if you're interested, go on over to Springfield Armory's website, springfield-armory.com, and you'll be able to see the Mod 2 all up in that business on their front page. So, you'll be able to make some opinions for yourself on whether or not it's going to be well received. If I saw one at the store, I'd ask to put my paws on it and see how much I liked it. I kind of like how the angular thumb shelves are on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how that's gonna effectively work for everybody's hand, because it is so the borax is so high, and then there's a thumb ledge. So it's definitely.
What it kind of reminds me of is those Recover Tactical grips you reviewed a while back. That's kind of what the thumb ledge reminds me of.
Yeah, kind of.
I would second that.
So it doesn't look like a Glock anymore. I'll say that. I think they've departed more from the Glock polymer pistol look. So I just don't know if it's in the right direction or not yet.
Well, I mean, MSRP is $545, so street price should be high 400s. So
yeah, 480 to 5.
Now I'm seeing. I was curious how it compared to the previous generation of the XD, and it looks like I'm looking on Lipsy's, the wholesaler website, and they're saying $440 for the Springfield XD subcompact 9mm. I'm not sure if maybe that MSRP went down because of this new one, or if that's always been the MSRP. I don't remember them being that cheap previously.
We don't sell them for that cheap. Definitely not place. So
maybe they bumped. Well, this is the MSRPs, so maybe they did bump them down because of these Gen 2s. I imagine the Gen 1, or whatever they're calling them, the Mod 2. I would imagine the Mod 1 is probably going to be going away pretty soon.
I really wonder how the ergonomics of this are going to compare to the next item that we have on the menu for this evening.
Yeah.
Oh man.
If you thought Sam hated the XD.
No. All right. Before we even jump into this, I just want to say, for $200, I wouldn't hate this gun nearly as much as $400. If this gun was I'm a big proponent of just kitschy, money wasting, frivolous gun purchases. 175 and lower. Like 175 is my upper limit. I prefer to be around like the 1 to 125 bubble. Like if down the road this shows up used for like 1 1/4, I'd buy it.
Okay, well, you want to introduce it then, Sam?
The item we are talking about is the Taurus Curve. Ew. It looks like those. You know the I think they're made by. What is it? They made a red pepper spray.
Kimber.
Kimber makes that little gun-shaped pepper spray. It looks like an overgrown Kimber pepper spray. It's hideous. But it's got built-in lights, it's got a built-in laser apparently, and the entire thing is molded to fit your body.
Yeah,
it is not straight. It's got a curve, a wave to it, including the frame. So it's meant for a right-handed shooter, and it's supposed to go inside the waistband and mold to the contour of your hip. So when it's curved, we're literally talking something you've never seen before. You could probably
curved.
Yes, you could set it on a table and spin it, and it would go for a long time because it's got such a curve to it.
Picture the curve of a paddle holster, like a little gentler than that. Like that's the type of curve we're talking about.
Yeah, they're taking that same ergonomic step like a paddle holster. It's supposed to wrap around your hip, so they just took it one step further and made it into a gun, which from the last day or two on Facebook and all the gun blogs and all that stuff, it's not very well received at this point, but we'll see. Like Sam mentioned, it's got a built-in light and laser, which I think is pretty cool because I don't think anybody's
like two tiny LEDs. They're two tiny LEDs. What are you seeing with that? It's like the equivalent of your iPhone light. Like
they don't say how bright they are, but hopefully they're close somewhere to 80 to 100 lumens. I would imagine for it to be even worth the time to put them in there. One of the other pretty notable features is that its lack of sights. The top of the slide is just completely smooth, which is definitely a departure from what we're all used to.
I just, for the record, we're 23 minutes into the show, and I thought this whole thing was a joke. I thought this was an Onion article. Oh my god, I'm in Sam's boat. I mean, personally, I would probably take a High Point over a Taurus. I mean, every Taurus I see at the range, man, everything falls off the thing. My main concerns were, again, no sights. I don't see how.
Well, there's on the rear of it, there is that like rudimentary. It looks like a penciled on, like chalked on. Laser. It's like a chalked on line. Like I guess that's your aiming device, and you do have that laser. Sorry to interrupt, but yeah, it's like there's so much suck on this gun.
Well, you just alienated left-handers. I mean,
well, that was I was thinking about that. Are they going to come out with, if this is successful? Will they come out with a left model?
Yeah, I believe I saw on one of the gun blogs that they spoke with Taurus, and Taurus kind of hinted at it and said, "Yeah, we'll be eventually coming out with a left-handed version." So we'll keep our eyes open for that. Another feature it has, which is kind of terrible for is it striker fired or hammer fired? I'm not entirely sure. But there's
double
no safety.
action only hammer fired.
Yeah, so it's like
your safety
like an LCP,
is your safety is the ridiculous bulbousness of its overall frame, and what I can only imagine is like a 20.5-pound double action only trigger pull on this thing.
Yeah, I would imagine. Hopefully, it's pretty heavy because it comes with a built-in standard clip. If you've ever seen like the clip draws that they sell for Glocks and little LCPs and stuff like that, comes with one of those already mounted to the frame. So it's basically advocating carry this without a holster, which is a terrible idea.
Well, that's what really got me. So it actually comes with the minimalistic trigger guard. Excuse me. It comes with that. That has like the drawstring to tie around your belt. Now, the other article that I read on this showed that you had to manually pull it off if you had to draw your gun, but then they also pictured one that tied onto your belt. So I'm not sure on that part. But to me, it looks like they're advocating just putting it in your pants and let's rock and roll. My issue with this thing is it seems like to be promoting that, and that's what I don't like about it. But I don't know, to me, everything looks like a toy to me. Like
it's a gun that no one asked for. It's one of those instances where it's something no one asked for.
Is acid legal in Brazil? Because that's what I was literally looking at. Like, did someone drop acid and then design a gun?
Okay, so either you and Ryan Machad have been talking, or you guys just both had the same comment, because that is exactly what he told me. Unless I was talking to you, but I'm pretty sure it was him.
No,
whose comment? Mine or Nick's?
Mine.
No, Nick. Ryan told me that earlier today. He said, they doing acid in Brazil?
In backtracking, Nick, I take offense to that. I have a Taurus 1911, and I put whatever I want through that thing. I've futzed with the parts. I've taken it apart several times, not knowing what I'm doing, put it back together, and it still goes bang every time and has no problems. And I got friends that have $1,500, $1,600, $1,700 1911s, and they have trouble feeding good regular ball ammo.
Because those are Kimbers, but that's another story.
No, it wasn't.
But no,
so Taurus, it is what it is. But as far as this specific gun. Why?
Yeah. It's very wide.
Can't they just rip off something else? They've been so successful ripping off Smith & Wesson's entire product line, and 1911's not really ripping off because it's kind of pretty much open market by now, but making clones of other things too. Just clone something else. Don't. I don't know.
Have holsters been outlawed in Brazil to curb gun violence? Because that seems. The whole thing's been dehorned. It's got a rounded rear of the slide. The grip is very much rounded. Even the barrel has been the crown, the muzzle of the barrel has been cut and rounded. So it's like you took a regular gun, you fired up the belt sander, and you went and you just made it a concave all the way across. So there's a lot of people that are like, well, that's you're rifling it. The bullet exiting the barrel that's going to affect accuracy because it's not a flat muzzle. It's kind of a weird opening. But their whole premise with this is, we don't put sights on it because 380 is more of a close range, point blank, self-defense cartridge. So that's why we put a laser and a light on it and no sights, except for the back. There's kind of like a white, drawn-on crosshairs to really help you point and shoot this thing.
It's screw it, and just give up anyways. You're carrying a 380, just give up. That's basically what I feel like they're saying by not putting any sights on it.
There's nothing that aside from what I can only imagine is I can't even imagine what sort of performance that laser is going to do. But why not just get a Kel-Tec P380? Got the clip on it. It's smaller than this.
It's half the price.
I just no.
Is the printing really going to be that nominal to make this this novelty be market effective? Oh man, I cannot tell you're carrying it all because your gun is shaping to your ass or your hip.
One of the first articles
Go ahead.
Okay, one of the first articles I read about this today was they were kind of saying who are all these people that are just clamoring for a more compact, slim, streamlined 380 just because their Taurus their Ruger LCP is just so freaking hard to hide. Obviously being sarcastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the CEO of Taurus got an iPhone 6 and sat on it in his skinny leather jeans and bent it, and he goes, "Wait a minute, it fits my leg better. Great Scott, I've got an idea." Let's run over all these guns.
That's exactly what happened. That is exactly what happened. We just figured it out right here, inside intel from the Gun and Gear Review podcast right here,
This is
folks.
the iPhone 6 of concealed handguns right here.
Except it comes that way.
Yeah. Well, they're saving you the trouble.
Yeah. Now,
This
honestly,
is skinny jeans approved.
Honestly, I think one of the coolest features of this gun is that the slide serrations. Those things are actually pretty neat, but it doesn't make up for all the other garbage on the gun. But the slide serrations are kind of like this cool little fish scale, kind of like the M&Ps have, but it looks pretty effective compared to some of the small 380s where they just don't have much purchase. So that's got that going for it.
I just had an email come across my desk, that they've actually announced the Curve Mod 2. There's another edition coming out that actually comes with a rape whistle built in and a horn.
Now, we did mention with the XD Mod 2, we were kind of mentioning how little stippling that thing had. Well, this takes it a step further and removes even more stippling. The entire side of the gun looks pretty slick. The only kind of grip texture you have is maybe like a ½ inch on the front strap and maybe a full inch on the back strap. Other than that, it looks pretty much like any kind of molded plastic finish, just that kind of lightly textured but not really textured enough to provide any kind of grip.
Like the banner from I guess the Taurus produced banner, it says Curve, the gun you wear, introducing the all-new Taurus Curve, the world's first and only curved firearm. Let's pray and hope that it sticks to the motto of the first and only.
Yeah,
curve.
I mean, does it let you shoot like wanted, like curves the bullet at all?
That's what I thought too.
Oh, nice. Yeah, actually, it said the first curved gun, and I thought, no, I think the Germans did that in World War II with the MP40. They had that little corner shot pipe they added to it, but that's a different story. But you're speaking of the banner ad, for it. Another blog pointed out that you go to Taurus's website, which I believe is thegunyouwear.com, is specifically the hype website for this gun. But if you look at their features, it says formitting firepower, not form-fitting, formitting firepower. So they have a typo right there on their.
I don't understand how major corporations, how that could happen. Anyway.
They designed the
Can
curve.
we move on to something that's
Right.
awesome? Can we move on to something that's awesome?
No, Sam,
Whatever, dude.
we have another feature.
I'm getting one of these, and I'm gonna carry in my boxers.
Hate you. Hate you.
We can't move on just yet because we have one more feature to talk about, and that's the magazine release, or magazine retention system, I guess you could say, because it's not really a release. Basically what they did here is on either side of the magazine you have these two little tabs that you have to squeeze together and yank the magazine out. And if anybody has ever owned a Smith & Wesson Sigma 380, basically the most garbage gun in the world, this is pretty much the same exact release. So I don't know why the heck they would copy that particular gun.
Wasn't the Sigma isn't, I mean, still to the day, the Sigma is the end-all be-all of bad pistols. That's the gun, outside of High Point. Now, High Point's its own beast, but as far as failures, the Smith & Wesson Sigma is kind of the hallmark.
I don't know. What do you think? What do you think, Nick?
I have a Sigma in my gun safe right now, my friends, and it's in 40 Smith & Wesson above that.
Oh God!
And
I double hate that.
And it's Cerakoted.
Is it in an Uncle Mike?
God! Oh God!
Is it in an Uncle Mike's holster?
I love it.
It is not, unfortunately. I missed the trifecta.
Does it have an NC Star laser light combo?
That's what I need on it.
Nice.
I'm trying to talk Doug over at ATEI to let me send it to him to just get a full. I want him to make my Sigma look like the Costa M&P. That's what I want.
Oh, nice. I'm pretty sure Doug I would pay you to stop asking.
But here's one thing I did just notice about this. It's European styled with there is no slide lock slide release on there that I can see either.
Yeah, I don't see anything either. And it looks like the takedown pin seems reminiscent of the LCP and the Celtic P3AT, where you just you probably have to index the slide to a certain point and yank that little pin out, but that pin seems pretty recessed in the frame, so it might be kind of a pain in the butt to get to. And also, if you look at one picture, there seems to be a pretty big hole in the back of the frame on the right side, which I would assume is Taurus's safety key or whatever they call that thing. I can't imagine they would release a gun without that for some reason. They needed
the Hillary hole.
That sounded so dirty.
It looks like there's AR-15 mag release button just kind of chilling on the front of the frame. I would imagine that's the light activation switch.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like if FN designed like a pepper spray, like this would be like the FNH pepper spray, and it'd be like, oh, that's interesting. Like it kind of looks like a P90 on the front, but then no, it's Taurus. If you're out in the woods in a survival situation, you can lay this on the ground and use it as like a mini dish or a little bowl.
Survival, Brian.
Get your berries and set it on the pistol, and it's going to hold them all because it's a nice little bowl. So let's get right on, moving on to something that's much more exciting and awesome. Troy has a new stock kit, and I think it's off the Honey Badger, or reminiscent of it. It's the PDW stock kit. And it is a sweet retractable stock that makes your rifle the shortest possible that it can, with having a buffer tube on there.
Yeah, I've seen these before on, I forget who makes it, but is this maybe the Honey Badger you're talking about? Maybe it's got like a 4.5-inch barrel AR, something ridiculous like that. Is that the one you're referring to?
Yeah, it was like some special SPR with a suppressor on there, so it was definitely a 2-stamp gun. But it has this stock that's reminiscent of like a PDW, like an MP5, or just it's collapsible. It's got rods that actually go forward, like above your safety selector when it's fully collapsed, and so these rods go forward, and then when you obviously retract the stock, that's where you make up that big difference in overall length.
Yeah, the buffer system's actually so short that it looks like they had to build the standard buffer that would go in the buffer tube itself. They had to actually build that into the bolt, so it is a proprietary bolt to go along with this thing because it's too short to allow a full-length buffer. So yeah, they're pretty neat, real compact. I couldn't imagine you'd get a very good cheek weld with it, but if you're in a vehicle ambush or something, you're probably not getting the best cheek weld anyways, which is kind of the target market for this, I would imagine.
I'm just glad it cost $500. This way I don't drool over it too bad, considering I can't have it in New Jersey. If this thing was like if it was like 200, I would be like, oh, I hate you. But 500, I'm like, hey, you can keep it.
Yeah.
I don't think 500 is that bad of a price. I mean, it comes with the proprietary bolt. I mean, if it's a good bolt, which I would, I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's a good bolt. That's $200.
I'm not saying it's not value. I'm not saying it's like it's way overpriced or anything. I'm just saying
it's overpriced for Sam.
It's just like I don't like it. I don't need it that bad. I don't need it for 500. Sort of thing. Like I don't care what's involved with it. I'm just saying to have that functionality, 500 ain't.
The price point keeps his self-control intact.
Yes.
Yes.
Now $100 100-year-old shotguns do not.
It is interesting how they basically combine the buffer with the bolt, so it's got a even shorter than a carbine or pistol length gas tube. So that really makes it unique that you can fold this up and store it in even smaller places.
Mm-hmm.
It still is legally a stock, so you can't throw this on an AR pistol.
It looks like it might only protrude about 3 inches or so versus maybe, 6 inches of a tube.
Yeah.
Very compact.
I'm interested in just how well that recoil is under different calibers. So if it is a pistol caliber carbine versus a 5.56, it looks like they mentioned specifically 5.56 carbines, but what if it's a different caliber like 6.8, 6.5, 9mm, 40? Is that proprietary recoil system going to hold up to those calibers and cycle?
Well, I mean that's where if you utilize an adjustable gas system, you can probably make this work for most any loading.
Slow it down if you need to.
Yeah, but what's the part that touches your shoulder made out of? Is it a polymer or is that aluminum?
It looks aluminum.
because
That's what I guess.
that looks uncomfortable. Like,
It looks like a meat tenderizer.
Actually, yeah, that's exactly what it looks like. It looks pretty sharp and crisp, just like a meat tenderizer.
I would assume it's aluminum. It looks like there's a pin in there on the side of it there. I mean, I think it looks interesting if you've went the route to where you've already gotten your rifle SBR'd, and you got $500 to drop. Hey,
yeah,
I think you could spend your money on worse things.
certainly.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it looks intriguing. If it's something that you really like, again, maybe you're you like having a car or truck gun, you really want something that's really, really compact. Hey, this could be right down your alley.
Yeah.
You could also spend the $500 on 1,000+ rounds, 1,200 rounds of 223 or 5.56.
Yeah. Looking at those arms, it looks like there's multiple positions that you'll be able to kind of click into. I don't know if there's like a detent that keeps that from rocking around, or if there's some kind of a release, or if it's just strictly a detent that just requires, a certain amount of force to adjust it up and down, or in and out. I think it's pretty cool. I mean, it'd be one way of having.
There's a picture on their website.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Anyways, there's a picture on their website from the bottom view of the stock, and it looks like it's got some kind of paddle that has two little wings that lock into those notches. So I guess that's your adjustability right there.
Okay, there you go.
My question is, how the heck do you get this thing apart? Because when you take apart your AR, the buffer is inside the buffer tube, and the bolt is flush with the rear of the upper.
If you look at the just behind that the segment, like where you said it has like the two wings and whatnot, that looks knurled, and I imagine you just twist like the front half of it. If you're looking at the top of it, there's the part that's attached to the adjustability part, and then there's like the back half, and that's knurled. So what it appears to be, to me at least, is you just use that to thread it, to turn it, and it kind of spins within itself. And once it's tight enough, you have that bump that indexes with the lower receiver, and that locks into place, and then you just tighten that down, and you're good to go.
Yeah.
I think it just might be short enough to where when you have the bolt like in the fully forward position, it clears the buffer tube so you can take out your rear takedown pin and unhinge your receivers.
So you're thinking the bolt itself is shorter? So you're thinking the bolt plus buffer is the same length as a standard bolt?
That's what I'm assuming, or else you wouldn't be able to get it open at all without taking out the stock and pulling your whole bolt carrier group out the back.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was wondering. Which you wouldn't be able to do that because the gas key would be in the way, so it must be short enough to do that.
Yeah. So if you're interested in that, go on over to TroyIndustries.com, but it's TroyInd.com. Look under their products and look for the PDW stock kit. So the sponsored product for this week, as you may know, Action Target is the bandwidth sponsor for this podcast, and this week I wanted to make sure you guys know to click on one of the affiliate links on the firearmsinsider.tv website, or go to firearmsinsider.tv/actiontarget, and then use the promo code Radio15 to get 15% off of your order. So this week I wanted to talk about just a really nice classic rim kit. So it's the Rimfire Bullseye. MSRP is for $179. Before that 15% discount. It's just a big rounds, 12-inch diameter circle with a 4-inch diameter hole cut out of the middle, and it's got a reactive plate behind it that's rated for 22 long rifle. I think this is the ideal 22 long rifle target for the price. When you're looking at reactive steel, that's just going to take repeated rounds after rounds and boxes after boxes, and last hopefully more than a couple lifetimes. Really simple to set up. It comes on the Evil Roy feet that are collapsible, and you can adjust the height by making the feet spread out farther or closer together. And it also folds up really nicely, kind of a little cam system, and it has the built-in handle. Be able to fold that target up and fit it into the trunk of your car pretty easily. So its steel grade is 1/4 AR-500 armor steel, and the blue painted paddle on the inside is only rated for .22 long rifle, so they do not recommend you shooting it with anything heavier than that. It's got a no welds, that back plate, there's no welds or anything, so it can be easily installed without tools and can be rotated to extend the life of it. So, you've shot the heck out of it with a .22 long rifle, you could flip it around and shoot the other back half to kind of expand the lifetime. Because as you shoot steel, the steel starts to curve, kind of like a torus curve. And if you want to get if you don't want that curve to get too sharp, you've got to turn that steel around and shoot it on the other side, which will kind of flatten out that curve. So,
this thing is like accessible too, like price wise.
Yeah, that's why I brought it on the show. I really think and it's only 37 pounds, so it's not too heavy. A big thing with steel is that the better the steel is, and the more sturdy it is, the heavier it is to go out and set up at the range. So this being, 37 pounds isn't anything to scoff at if you're older or just your stature, you're not lifting 40 pounds on a daily basis. But it's still fairly easy and mobile to set out. And it's also built good enough to where you could set it out on your property and potentially not move it, but a couple times a year if you wanted to. It'd be really great for 22 like bolt actions or semi-autos shooting longer range, because you definitely get the visual feedback of, oh yeah, I definitely hit somewhere in that 4-inch diameter center, because you'd see that back plate go back and it'd make a different auditory sound. And then obviously you might be able to, on a freshly painted surface of the donut, I'll call it, you'll be able to see your impacts. But I think it'd be great training for someone who's just learning how to shoot a 22. Maybe you just got your son, your daughter, your grandson, your granddaughter, their first 22 rifle, and this would be a great target to have them shoot at, because shooting steel is fun. There's a lot of feedback, and it makes them want to shoot more and enjoy the sport a lot more than just shooting paper and having to go up and see how you did on the paper necessarily. Would you guys agree?
Yeah, but it's definitely more fun to have some kind of reaction when you're shooting.
I have a stand exactly similar to that. That's the best thing about it, is just being able to grab it. It folds up and you're moving. That's the hands down for the people that like to shoot steel, because that's obviously the hardest part, is having to pick it up and move it, and it's a pain, and undoing things. It makes it easy. I would never buy a different type of stand now that I have one.
Yeah. Well, and then you can get 2 of these and fit them in your trunk, and not have to fight, and you don't need tools to take it down each time either, which is really nice. It's just kind of a cam system with gravity that you just lift up the neck and it swivels down, and you can probably fit, depending on your trunk size, even 3 of these. But I know I've got 2 targets that are just the solid 12-inch diameter head, and I just fold them up, and I can just throw them in the back of my truck all day long. Really nice and compact. So if you're interested in checking that out, go to store.actiontarget.com, or use one of the affiliate links on the website, and go to go to steel targets, and under the reactive steel you'll start to see the 22 caliber options, and they've also got a separate section under steel targets for rimfire steel, and that's where you'll find the rimfire bullseye target as well. So $179, I don't think you can beat that as far as shooting a steel that's rated for 22 caliber. So let's get right into the reviews. Who wants to go first? Not all at once.
I always seem to go first for some reason, Ryan. So I want someone else to go first.
Well, I could go first and I promise to be extremely quick. How about that?
Hey, that sounds good.
All right. So this week I tried to find something smaller and a little bit more manageable to do a review with shorter notice. And then I also kept in mind that there's not a whole lot of archery products on the show, and there's probably quite a few archers out there. So I decided to review my personal mechanical release aid, or just release. And this is from Carter Enterprises, and both in the bow hunting, competitive shooting, and just regular, just flinging arrows for the fun of it. Carter Enterprises is very, very well known for really comfortable grips. Really comfortable releases that are kind of conformed to your hand. They're very well designed. You don't really see these on the store shelves. They feel very custom, and the whole premise behind they've been making these out of their Idaho facility. It's a really nice, like, mom and pop operation, but they design these themselves, and they cut them out on a CNC machine out of aluminum, and they design all the internals themselves, and they basically make a bunch of different releases with thumb holes, 2-finger, 3-finger, 4 fingers. Basically, they've been pioneering the custom molded aluminum release aids for the industry. I got this. This is the Insatiable, and actually they don't make they don't make this one anymore. There's an Insatiable 2 and an Insatiable 3, and I think just the standard one it looks just like this. Is called the Insatiable Plus, and the only difference is it's got a much larger diameter thumb trigger. This one's got a kind of a slimmer one, which I've grown accustomed to. But basically, it's to increase the consistency of your shooting. So you would press this cocking lever in the back when you've got it inverted, so that this reverse closing jaw is in the down position. So you press the cocking lever, and then you basically just put your bowstring in there, or your D loop on a bowstring, which is kind of like a little smaller string that's tied. That's around goes on the top and the bottom of your arrow and your knock rest, and so then with your forefinger you kind of close this jaw, and then it like locks down on that string. So I've actually got like a little string to show you how that works. It's designed to be comfortable and ergonomic, and with those it is more accurate and helps you be more consistent with your shots. So here's a string. I'm pulling back on it with pretty good force, and I haven't put my thumb on the trigger yet. I'm just wrapping my finger around it, and so then, whatever your form is, you take a deep breath and just kind of squeeze with your whole fist together and kind of pull your arm back, and it releases, and it's a consistent release every time. It's a little bit better than the old-fashioned like straps around your wrist and has like a little actual like rifle trigger on there. They're much easier. Obviously, it's not stuck to your wrist. You can put it in your pocket. You can actually leave it clipped to your bowstring and walk to the next target, or you're in your tree stand and you've got it latched onto your bow and you're looking through your binoculars. It's really handy in all fields of hunting, archery, competitive shooting. Basically, I really, really like it. So into my review, the main points. The claim to fame is that it's a simple, no-nonsense release that many pros rely on when the shots count. The target market is bow hunters and competitive archers, and I would also throw in there casual archers as well. The featured benefits, I would say it's the interchangeable tension system, which allows archers to quickly change from one trigger spring tension to another. So there's a couple of settings in there you can adjust yourself. They call it the Adjusto trigger. And there's a set screw that you can adjust the take up and the over travel on the trigger of this release. It's got the 4-finger pull, so you've got full support on all of your fingers. You don't have like a pinky that's kind of hanging out there. That also helps in just consistency and leverage when you're pulling back. And that reverse close jaw loop design lets go of the string consistently each time. What other aesthetic options are available? Like I said, the newer Insatiable Pluses have a larger thumb screw, which you might find you like better because you don't have to wrap your thumb quite as far around that knob, and then it requires less pressure to move as opposed to the smaller one. As far as colors go, I'm not really sure. It seems like they do a batch and they decide to anodize them in a certain color. So where you're able to get these on like Amazon and Lancaster Archery Supply, it seems like most of them are red, and if they made a batch and they decided to do them in blue or black, it is what it is. You don't get to custom choose the colors that you want. It's just whatever's available at the dealers. What others are saying, there's an Amazon review, and he says, I purchased the Carter Insatiable release about 7 months ago and cannot be happier. The trigger adjustments are easy and solid, and the feel of the release is perfect for my average-sized hand. It delivers a smooth shot every time, at least as smooth as my skills allow. And then another review that's actually on Lancaster Archery Supply's website, says the fit and finish are excellent. Function is excellent right out of the box. The only adjustment required is to rotate the thumb knob to fit your thumb location. I wear a large glove, and this release fits my hand perfectly. If you wear a medium or small glove, this release may be too large for you. The position of the forearm with this release is perfect for me. Please follow the recommendations for firing this release. The instructions prevent punching the trigger. And that's kind of built into the design. That's an advantage to having a thumb trigger, is because everyone's kind of familiar with the trigger finger and shooting a gun. Well, inaccurate hunting shots, if you slap the trigger or you like consciously pull on it, your brain is like milliseconds before you pull it is going, oh, he's pulling the trigger, and you start to come off target. Your form starts to break. So having a thumb release kind of takes a little bit more of it, like a subconscious, out of it, so that when you're pulling, you're not really as expecting or like mentally sending the signal to your hand to, okay, release the arrow, send it. It's kind of more of an unconscious thing, which means all your focus is going to be on your form and your sights and your anchor points and all that. So it's really beneficial to get these because it helps your form a lot. You might have to, if you're used to using the other triggers, there is going to be a learning curve to you because you're going to have a new anchor point, and because this is right where your knuckles are as opposed to sticking out farther where your trigger finger is, the length of draw for your bow may have to be adjusted as well. So those kind of go into the cons category of the rating. Also, the colors are non-selectable, and the thumb knob might not be to the right size that you want if you find one of these regular Insatiables, unless you get the plus one. So the MSRP is $311.96, but you can get it for retail at both Amazon.com or Lancaster Archery Supply for $199. I would say that's money very well spent, because once you learn the release and it starts to work with your form, your groups will tighten up much, much better. So I gave it an 8.5, and the pros, I gave it the fact that this company, they actually handcraft these things. They pen and paper, pencil paper, and they design how they want these things to function. They're not just doing it to fit a market. They're doing these for each individual shooter. They've made many, like a friend will come over and go, I like this release, but it just, what about this, or would this help? And so they'll design a new model right then and there. If all of a sudden it sparks a light bulb, I mean, they are literally like pushing the. They're carrying the flag as far as designing new releases for the archery market. So I think that's really cool from a design standpoint. It has a lanyard hole, as you can see. I got it one little lanyard in there, but it does not come with one. I would recommend getting one. Because if you're learning and you let go of the whole thing and this goes flying with your arrow, there's a chance that you're not gonna find it. So it's good to have a lanyard, just so if something like that happens, it's not gonna leave your wrist. The fact that you can adjust it custom to your sensitivity and the size of your hand is really good too. And also the fact that you can leave it clipped to your bowstring, while you're walking to different targets and stages, like I said before. It just makes it just a great product with a fantastic design that you can tell there's a lot of thought behind it. And they're made in Idaho, good old made in USA, so you really can't beat that. And they're great folks too. I've met them, so it's nice to support a good company with good people behind them.
And repping my home state, so good job.
Yeah, yep, absolutely.
I mean, I'm not a bow hunter. I think it looks great. But yeah, I'm not. I've shot a bow like once, and it hurt my wrist when I was like 7, so I haven't touched them since.
Aww.
Oh.
Those type of releases intrigue me. I've tried them. I'm not too thrilled about them, but that looks like the trying to find a car equivalent. Like, it's just such a. It's like done right. It's like that type of release, but done the best way you could possibly do it.
Yeah, I mean, they're very attractive, and kind of their biggest selling point is that if they're at an archery shoot and somebody goes up to them and be like, yeah, I'm interested in seeing, which one of these, dozens of releases are going to fit me best, they can kind of, put a couple in your hands, and more times than not, just the fact of someone putting it in their hand and going, man, it feels like it was made custom just for me, and they've got a sale right there. So it is a little harder to just purchase one from online, never holding it in your hands and not knowing if it's going to fit your form. It's really kind of a product that you need to see somebody else have and maybe try it out. It's kind of taking a gamble on unless you've tried it before, and then you can buy it online. But I would highly recommend them, and there's so many different styles of how they're released. This is a thumb trigger model, but they've got back tension resistance activated, and they've also got standard index finger triggers. So if you had some kind of hand injury or certain disabilities with your hand where you could only do one action, maybe you just can't curl your thumb like this, they've got a release for you that'll fit you. And if they don't, contact them and they will hammer one out, and it'd be amazing. I can't really get used to some of them that are more back tension to where there's actually no trigger at all. You just kind of keep your wrist a certain way, and when you're ready to fire, you kind of rock your wrist, and it's supposed to be even more precise and repeatable, but I just could not get used to it. And I forget which one that was called, but they've got a lot to choose from, and then what they name their products are pretty funny too. There's the Chocolate Light, the Just Because, the Fits Me Too, Chocolate Addiction. They're kind of comical, but definitely give it a check out on their website, www.carterenterprises.com.
Cool.
So, all right, who's next?
Sam, you want to go last? I'll go.
Yeah, you can go.
Okay. Well, I don't have a review right up because I wasn't exactly planning on coming on, but thanks for having me on, by the way. When I joined, I didn't even know we were live, so I apologize if I hurt anybody's feelings out there. But something I'm going to be talking about, and out there you may have heard of them before, and I'm going to describe them as best as I can, but for those watching on YouTube, obviously this would be a little bit better due to visual aspects of these magazines. But I'm going to talk about Hex Mag. They came out earlier this year. Not to toot my own horn, but I had one of the first videos of Hex Mag up on YouTube. But the interesting thing about them is they're made in Colorado, which, yes, a company makes 30-round magazines out of Colorado. That's slightly ironic. But the one really cool thing about these magazines, so if you look at if you look at PMags, they're date stamped, and these are date stamped as well. However, Hex Mag stopped their dating process on, I believe it's June of 2013. And why that is important is they date stamp all their magazines now June of 2013. That way, technically, any magazine made before that is legal. So I thought that was kind of an interesting thing to do for a company based out of Colorado. So obviously, you still need to follow your state, local, federal laws, etc. But stamped on the magazines is all June of 2013. But when it comes into it, it's a polymer magazine. It's very similar to PMags. The design is obviously a little different. Seems they're called hex mags, so you can imagine that there are, for those watching on YouTube here, there are hexes within the magazine design on the outside. It actually makes for pretty good grip. Something that is noticeably different about their polymer versus other polymer magazines is the fiberglass that is thrown into the cement, that really fine fiberglass is in their magazines as well, which on a side note, it seems to resist scratching quite a bit. I don't know if that's because of it. We did a torture test on these magazines we'll talk about shortly, but something I noticed right away is these don't scratch very easy. So I don't know if that's because of it or not, but I've really liked these. Again, I've been running these for now quite some time. I use them in my local AR matches. They've worked fantastic. I have these. I have PMags. To me, that they're all interchangeable. They're reliable, just reliable as PMags, which is obviously a proven polymer magazine. Something very interesting about these magazines, which is really fortunate for me, due to now I'm getting a 300 blackout, is the design of these magazines. You can color code them. So like a lot of people, I'm sure Ryan, for your 300 blackouts for your magazines, I'm assuming you label them or you do something in regards to differentiate your 300 blackout versus your 5.56.223. Something that's really, really easy to do with these magazines is the follower is colored, as well as not the base plate, but there's an insert inside the base plate on these magazines that is colored as well. So you can actually change out the colors on basically the top follower and the bottom of your magazine to where you can color code all of your magazines. So they offer 7 different colors, I believe, for coloring their magazines. They offer Zombie Green, Lava Red, Pink Panther, Blackout, Hazard Yellow, and Blue, and Orange. So yeah, 7 colors. So you can color code your magazines to either maybe your hand reloader and you have different loads that you run, or you're maybe somebody that is using, again, various calibers other than just 5.56. So for example, you can see one magazine here is blue top, blue bottom. Another one here is orange. So for example, I could you can also change their colors to where, here's a yellow follower right here. It's very easy to do. Just pull out, take it off the spring, put a different color on. You're ready to rock and roll. So you can color code all your different calibers in your AR magazines, which is really, really nice instead of having to write it on there or put tape, or there's different methods of color coding your magazines. So that's one really nice way to do it. So for example, I'll put this back together here. I can take my blue magazine right here, and I can put my 300 blackout in there. And now I know that blue magazines are 300 blackout or whatever color I go with. So it's a really nice way for those that are running multiple calibers to easily identify their magazines. You could also even go as to, you could do 2 different colors, top and bottom, for, you designate a caliber, designate a grainage or hand load. The options are pretty much endless. So you can buy the magazines and they come in orange, and you can buy the color packs as well. MSRP on the magazines, they advertise them at $14.99. You can then buy the color packs for $11.99. Street price on these magazines, I believe we sell them for around, I think, $11 to $12. We sell them somewhere in there, so they're pretty competitive with a PMag price. I know that it sounds a little bad to compare them to PMags, but PMags kind of has set that industry standard of the polymer magazines, so it's kind of hard not to compare them to Magpul. But again, they've been absolutely reliable. We did a torture test video while we were out in Idaho. We ended up shooting the magazines. We did an absolute ton of stuff to these magazines, and it ran. I'll put a link in the show notes if anyone wants to watch it. We shot this magazine, I believe, 7 times, and it still functioned. I was accompanied on that video by my brother, Greg, who was first Cav, been to Iraq, metal mag, only guy, and he was actually impressed by these magazines. And again, they've been reliable. They've been fantastic. The only negatives there are on this that I can find is if you like to load your magazines via stripper clip, these are not really set up on the back of the magazine for any catch on there. So you can mess up your angle really easily in the loading process. So that is definitely a negative on the product. But other than that, they're also coming out, I should say, mention 20-round and 10-round sizes as well to be other non-Freedom State compliant product. And overall, they've been a really great magazine. Would I buy these if they were in stock and PMag was out, sure. Would I buy these if PMags were in stock? Probably too. I really don't think you can go wrong with it. It's been an absolutely fantastic mag, and I have several of them. I was trying to find the one that I shot because we shot it up a bunch, and I actually put out a message on Instagram saying, "Hey, HexMag, what's your warranty? What's your warranty on something like this?" And they said, "Send it back so we will replace it." And I told them, "Hey, just send me new springs and we're good to go." So it's now our zombie mag. It's zombie colored, has bullet holes all through it. I replaced the spring in it. I put the follower, the base pad, everything back in, and it runs. It's kind of interesting. But that is HexMag. They're a really good company. I've had nothing but the best with them again. We did a torture test review on them. They ran great. I've used them for competitions and just plinking. They've ran great. They're a good company, obviously, kind of the little backhanded way to fight the Colorado politicians. So all in all, if you're interested in some different AR magazines, I would check out HexMag.
And you said they are making in-house limited capacity magazines?
Yes, they are.
Now, so like my question is like, so in New Jersey, like I have all PMags, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they're permanently pinned and epoxied so that they can't be modified. So they're permanently modified to 15 rounds. Are these going to be able to come from the factory saying that that magazine is only a 15-round magazine?
Well, I'm looking it up right now on their website. One thing I see here, let's see, our 10 and 15-round magazines were developed for California, Colorado, New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts, Hawaii, D.C., and Chicago. So they have what's called their true riser. I'm trying to read up more into that right now. System allows for normal assembly and cleaning a 30-round. It looks like a 30-round in your AR. Additional space on the riser. They don't tell a whole... To me, it looks like it's removable.
Right.
Just from looking at their website, hexmag.com/new-products. Or if you go on their website, you got to click on products, then new products. So to me, it looks like it's removable. I don't know if even if it's removable, does that make it New Jersey legal?
Well, the argument would be, well, it's...
Or it's one of those, okay.
Not to like digress into like a legality issue, but like if you could potentially remove a part and then it would now function as a 30-round magazine, that's not permanently modified to only accept 15. I don't know the exact makeup of these. I'd be really interested to figure it out. But it seems like they designed it specifically for that purpose, to satisfy those states, because that's one of the greatest things. Like, people love their PMags, but in New Jersey a PMag is $30.
Oh.
If you can find them.
Yeah.
They may be 25 on a good day, whereas every big box outdoor store in a free state, you can go there and buy them for $12, $13, whatever it is.
So here we go.
So,
this says the HexMag True product line uses a riser and a shorter spring to replace the 30-round spring.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, so you can.
Our system, as shipped, cannot be converted back to 30 rounds.
Oh, I'm buying these.
Yeah.
When do they start shipping? Shut up and take my money.
They don't. I don't know if they have announced it. I'm trying to remember. I know at work we saw obviously they're 30 rounds. Oh, I should also mention they did announce that the mags are now available in flat dark earth and OD green as well as black, obviously. I don't know if they're shipping those yet, but you guys can contact them again, hexmag.com. They're all over Facebook, Instagram, etc. And they've been, again, fantastic with me, fantastic customer service. I've talked to George, the president there, several times, even on the phone, while reviewing their products. And they've ran fantastic. Again, the only con I have is the strip clips. It doesn't really support that, so it can be a pain if you're into that for loading your magazines. But if not, the thing has been absolutely reliable as all get out.
Cool.
Right on. So actually, TJ had to leave us. I believe he was kidnapped by the Brazilians. So he left, but so Sam, you're up next.
I am up next. All right. I don't have one specific thing that I even started writing a review on, so I'm going to be writing a few reviews on several things. All of them I find are very well priced and are very good in fit and function through the limited testing I've had so far. Three of the things. So first thing is the Vortex Spark 2 red dot sight, which is awesome. I really like it, and that's a thumbs up. So I'll be writing a review on that. It's a really good middle of the road red dot sight. You get what you pay for. It's not an aim point, but it sure as heck isn't one of those $50 gun show specials. Like it's a quality, rock solid red dot that will definitely get you where you need to go. That's the first thing. Second thing is, and I'm sure everyone has seen these. These are kind of the entry-level electronic muffs. The Howard Light Impact Sports, and they go for around $50, maybe a little less if you can find them on sale. And from my initial testing for the at least amplification part of it, it's really, really awesome. That is a good benefit. And the other good thing about these is you can change the batteries really easily. And I know on some of the electronic muffs you have to like perform open muff surgery and like crack open like the sides of it and to get to the insides, but this just has a simple slide off battery compartment. So that's pretty nifty, and they fold up really nice. So I'll be writing a review on those. And last but not least, and this will probably take a little more time to do some more thorough testing, but I got a pair of sights. I don't know if you guys can see the sight picture at all, but they're called Aimline, and the theory is the sight picture is a straight line. So the rear sight is 2 lines and the front sight is 1 line, and when you have your proper sight picture, it forms a straight line, and you just put that wherever you want to basically outline your target. You put the line right on your target, and that's where the bullet goes. Initial testing, as far as drawing and aiming, have been really nice. You know, dry fire practice basically with it has been nice, and I'm really, really eager to get out to the range and see how they shoot for me. I have them mounted on my Glock 19, and yeah, I'll see how that goes. But those are kind of the things I've been toying with, and I'll be writing reviews for, so those should be hopefully up in a little bit.
Samuel, you tease.
I know,
I've got a
this
couple
is
questions.
my tease. So yeah, if you have any questions on any of the stuff, I can kind of get a little more in depth. But that's I couldn't pick just one thing, so I just said I'll pick 3 things.
I've been looking for. I just sold an EOTech, and I've been looking to replace it with a lower priced red dot option that's going to be a lot better than one of those really, really cheap ones that I seem to have too many of. So, of course, this is the week that the Vortex Spark is actually sold out on all of my local shelves. But I had questions for you as far as how like low can you get it? I know it comes with some risers. Can you explain kind of
you can get it.
height?
All right, so if you let's see if you can see it on the video. But that is the tall riser without the. So like there's a means of attaching it where it's basically you see the 2 parts, the riser and the optic itself.
Yeah.
You could basically have it so it's pretty much it's an ultra thin pick mount where it's pretty much just the scope like very so slightly off the rail, and which is good if you have a application on a shotgun or maybe a pistol where you don't need to have a certain level of co-witness and whatnot. Then there's a mount so that you could have a lower third co-witness and a spacer to have the what's the other co-witness? There's lower third and there's
Absolute.
Absolute. Yes, that's it. Absolute co-witness or lower third.
So do you feel like, I mean, obviously it works really well on a carbine, but do you think it'd work really well on an AK? And like, you know, maybe it's like with the lowest setting, would you be able to see your rear sight and your front post at all, or would it be better off just having it?
As far as like, it's tough to say because, yeah, let me do this because the scope caps make it look a little beefier than it really is.
Right.
With the scope caps off, you can kind of get a better look at it.
That might work.
Yeah, I think it has the potential to work on an AK. You know, I wouldn't want to take the time now to dig through the closet to find the lowest mounting option because it all comes with a box. It's not like you spend $200 on the red dot and you have to spend another $20 on different risers and mounts. Like it just comes, it comes ready to rock and roll. They do recommend using some blue Loctite when you secure the base to the optic itself. So I went about and I did that. But yeah, it's really convenient as far as having that modularity in the height. So I do think if you did use the lowest one, you could potentially use it on an AK. But don't quote me on that.
Cool. Well, yeah, I look forward to your review then. That's something I've been interested in, and I will not buy anything until I hear what you had to say.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I've had this is still relatively new to me. I've only put like maybe 20 rounds through it, and I didn't even have to sight it in because I was pinging steel at 100 yards with it. So I was just like, oh, I'll just leave it for now. I didn't really have the patience because I was working on some other things that day. So I was like, it's good enough for now. I'll get it. I'll get it a little more fine-tuned later. But yeah, I've had friends that have had the first-gen Sparks, and they've never had an issue or hiccup or otherwise with it. I know that MOA, the dot got a little finer on the Spark 2, so that's also a kind of cool thing.
Also, the button position from the Gen 1 to the Gen 2 has been to where you won't accidentally turn it off or on, or the worst is night vision. When you think that your optic's not working and then you hit the night vision button and you're like, oh, now it's working again.
Yeah, it's really simple to use. Touch either the up or down button and it'll turn on. And then you got your dot. And then if you hold the up button down for a few seconds, or is it the down? I'm forgetting. And then it'll just turn off. So it's simple to use, 2-button configuration. Yeah. Any other questions that I can lackluster reply to?
No, I think I'll patiently wait with bated breath for your review, and then I'll have more. I'll save my questions for that episode.
The Howard Lights, again, I have them. I love them to death. I'll be using them for hunting, and obviously I work at a pheasant members-only hunting club, and I try to like the guides always come in and complain. You know, they got to hear their dogs, you know, and everything that's going on. I said, go get Howard Lights, and everybody thinks that like electronic hearing is, oh, I'd have to spend $1,000. I'm like, no, they're $50 on Amazon. No, here's
exactly where I got mine.
And they're like $48.99 on Amazon. They're fantastic. I use them a lot. And again, I have to RSO down at the range, at our range quite a bit. I use my Howard Lights when I have to do that. They're fantastic. Usually when I'm RSOing, I put in earplugs with them running as well, just because, you know, when there's 40 people shooting, you know, you kind of want all you can. But then I jack up the volume and put those in, and they work. You
could hear it through the plugs better than without the plugs, right?
Yeah. I mean, if it's a normal, like there's only 5-10 shooters, I won't put plugs in with them. Just because we a lot of times we have a lot of, like right now we have everybody hunting in their deer rifles, so there's a lot more high-powered stuff. So then I just double up just to be safe. But would they work without it? Yeah, they would. But the nice thing is, especially if you're a range safety officer, is you got to be able to hear people, because so many people. Usually the biggest warning you can hear if there's an issue is people are like, you know, they're being, well, they're saying something, and that's how you hear that there's an issue. So I love my Howard Lights. I take them hunting, at work. I absolutely love them. I think they're an extremely huge value buy for $48.
Yeah, I'm hoping to test it out in pretty much all the applications this weekend. Actually, no, I really won't be able to get to the range until Tuesday, so that's when most of the review stuff will get done. But I'm going to do pistol shooting with it. I'm going to be doing some prone rifle shooting with it. I'll be doing some shotgunning with it, perhaps. So I'm going to kind of try to cover all the bases, because when it comes to muffs, you know, the ergonomics of wearing them in conjunction with maintaining cheek welds and things of that nature are kind of always an issue. So I hope to kind of holding on the reviews, because I want to give it all these things a thorough review, as far as, you know, covering all my bases.
No, that is actually a very good point about ear protection and getting proper cheek weld. I have the, let's talk about my arts and safe. Do I have the Magpul CTR? What's the larger cheek weld one? Is it the CTR?
ACS?
Huh?
ACS?
No, not that one. I don't remember which one I have, but they're very thin and compact, which is one of the best parts about them. And that way, they're I have no issues with it. So, STR. I have the STR. Sorry, and I run into no issues rocking those on my STR carbine stock, which is again a larger framed stock for, you know, getting a proper or more proper cheek weld, and I have no issues with my ears bumping into my stock.
Cool. Yeah, I wish I could have given a more thorough review on some things, but like I said, it'll be a drought and then a flood.
Well, it's actually a very ironic that you brought up hearing protection, because that's actually the item in the tech gadget or app section of the podcast. And these are from Precision Ear, and they're the Defend Ear Digital 2, and they are custom molded earplugs that have some very high-tech tech capabilities built into them. And so Precision Ear makes several different kinds of hearing protection at different price points. These are the more higher end and higher priced of their products. But because it's the tech section, I wanted to bring up something that had some bells and whistles on there. So the Defend Ear Digital 2 is made specifically for the shooting sports and high-impact noise situations. So it has exceptional, accurate, and lightning-fast digital circuitry to deliver unsurpassed amplification for your situational awareness and appropriate noise attenuation when you pull the trigger. So basically, just like the Howard lights, they amplify ambient noise, but when there's a sound that's of a higher decibel, it automatically turns that off and functions like an earplug. So the benefit to these is you don't have big muffs that kind of disrupt your cheek weld if you're shooting rifle. Also something you don't need to worry about taking off when you're communicating with other people, and just slimmer profile altogether. So it's got a volume control on there. As small as these are, I mean, they're very small earplugs. There's a volume knob on there. There's a low battery warning, and it's got two modes. There's a game mode, which it means like a game like hunting, so optimized for intermittent shots.
Not while you play Call of Duty?
Yeah. No, it's not for Call of Duty. And then there's like a clay mode, which is more optimized for continued repeated shots, which would be like at the range. Whereas if you're just consider hunting mode, range mode. The MSRP is $1,495, and they are custom molded to your ear. So how you get that done is you would purchase a do-it-yourself kit from Precision Ear, and they'll actually send it out to you with instructions. And there's videos that you can look at online, to where you kind of put these little cotton stops in your ears so that the agent doesn't go all the way down into your ear canals or eardrums. And you bite onto a bit, and there's got this you take the I don't know what the material is. And then it's like a plastic syringe that you just kind of basically fill up your ear hole, and it shows you the technique and how much to get to the rest of your outer ear. So basically, you get those done. You can do them yourself by buying the kit, or you can go to an audiologist and have those done there professionally. So someone who works with making hearing aids for people. So then you send Precision Ear the molds, and then they'll send it to their lab, and they can have any one of these earplugs made especially for your ear. So the Defend Ear Digital 2, obviously it's the Gen 2. There's a Gen 1 that's got it's got different modes, or it's less modes on it. But I wanted to bring this up because there's some people that their profession is shooting, and then they do hunting, or their profession is hunting, and there's just a lot of shooting in their professional career. And so it actually makes sense to invest in some very comfortable ear protection, because once you've lost your hearing, it's gone for good. So actually, in talking with the owner, he's going to get me molded and a set so I can do a review on. But he asked me, what do I use? And I told him I use these Howard Lights that we just talked about, these electronic earmuffs. And I said, $50, man, it's pretty good. And he was just kind of like, well, let me send you something, because you don't know what you're missing out on having something that's custom to fit your ear. Because if you're wearing earmuffs, even these ones for recording, after so long, you start to feel some fatigue on your outer ear, depending on how big your ears are. And then of course there's just it's just another big thing of gear. If you're just using earplugs alone, like little foam earplugs, you might want to think about the environmental impact of just using those over and over and over, and just how much of a landfill gets filled up with earplugs from repeated
Yeah, but they squish down
use.
really small, so as you put more on top of themselves, they crush it.
Well, you understand what I'm saying, is that it's a little bit cost effective if you shoot a whole lot, or you hunt a whole lot. And this actually, there's like the Walker's Game Ear. There's advantages to having amplified hearing protection when you're hunting, and these also fit that role really nicely. So I'll be bringing up as soon as I get some molded, doing a review on some of these. He's got industrial production, so these are more plugs that are designed for when you're working in a factory, or just you don't need any amplification. They're just kind of nice custom plugs, and they're under $200. And they range from $150 to about $180, $195. And then he's got all these digital products that have the amplification. He can have it linked to your Bluetooth on your stereo and your phone. And then he's also got some other products coming down the line for like personal production, two-way radios type things, comms, communication. So make sure to check that out. And it just so happens that I built his website, and we just launched. So that's something else to go look at. So the website's precisionear.com, just precisionear.com. Pretty simple.
Looking website.
Thank you very much.
Well, and here's, some people might be scoffing at $1,500 for ear protection. That's insane. Well, if you go to we have a rifle pistol range all down there. We have sporting clays. We have 5-stand. We have hunting. If you're around shooting a lot, and I'm talking when you're in an area with either professional shooters, you're talking thousands of rounds a week. Or if you work again as an RSO, you're hearing, I wonder how many shots I hear a day when our range is full. There's 50 lanes. At one point in time there could be 30 to 40 full on busy days. In a day I'm hearing 3, 4, 5,000 shots. At the end of the day, again, like you said, hearing is extremely important. It's again like I talked about when it gets busy, I double up on hearing just to make sure. Protection-wise, is it a big chunk? Can I afford it right now? No. If possibly in the future, though, if I could afford something like that, would it be on the table? Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. Because when you're around so much shooting, and you can get something again that's really high end that fits you most importantly, and you can hear what's going on around you in your environment, so you have that situational awareness. And you keep your hearing. There's not a price on that.
What is the noise reduction rating for these?
You'd have to pull up the specs. I believe you're asking the right guy, since I built the website. But there's a spec sheet on there.
Okay.
You should be able to open that up to a PDF.
I'm looking at it right now. I'm trying to find it.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing it's NRR.
he has that rating on most things. So if we did not put it on this, it's because it wasn't listed by his the lab, which he's a dealer for their products.
Well, I mean, if it's I would imagine, first off, it's probably, if I had to venture a guess, anywhere from 20 to 22 or 23 noise reduction rating, because you have that fact that it's not a completely sealed unit, because you have that the noise coming in, the amplification factor, so it's not going to be as like, because their in-ear models, like their Defender Max is 29 NRR, and they're ones that are compatible with using comms are 21 to 28. So then once you put the electronics in, because even with muffs you go from like 30 to like 22, 24, something like that. Noise reduction rating. So I think the biggest benefit is probably just the comfort factor.
Yeah. Well, and then again, if you don't need the amplification and you don't want to spend over $1,000, the industrial protection products are super popular. I know that the Defender convertible, I think the We Like Shooting guys have been talking about that and doing reviews on that. You can get the convertible comms if you're in security, or you just like the ability to link to kit type radios, or just the standard Defender Max. That's just a solid piece with no kind of conversion. There's portholes in the convertible one that you can plug with the lanyard, so you can basically put it in one to get more noise reduction and put it in the other one to get less, so you can kind of control how much noise reduction there's there, which could be really nice for you if you're shooting on the rifle line. Obviously that's going to be much louder than shooting at if there's a rimfire only range, or a pistol bay, or outdoor skeet range. So it's kind of nice to be able to custom choose between those. So I'll talk about those a little bit more in the future as I get a product to actually do a review on. One other thing I didn't mention is that these Defender Digital 2s, the approximate battery life, and it uses a 6 Zinc Air 312 batteries.
Those Zinc Air 123 batteries, love those.
Yeah, and then the battery life is approximately 150 hours.
Yeah, it uses 312 batteries. It comes with 6.
Right.
Yeah, and I should also mention too that if you look at this too, it's actually modular in design. So in the future, if they come up with an upgraded version or whatever, you can keep your molded earpieces, and you just have to replace the internals. That is some forward-thinking stuff right there.
Well, I think the other more beneficial thing is you could replace the molding, because I'd imagine that $1,200 of that is in that electronic part. The molding itself. Because you look at the industrial.
If it gets worn or damaged over time,
right.
however you're storing it, you could definitely get those replaced and still hold on to the electronics. So
because there are other custom molded stuff which ranges from like, I guess it was like 180 to like 200, right? So these are $1,500. I'd imagine that, I'm hoping $1,300 of tech is going to that module, whereas that custom molded ear part is really just a couple hundred.
Yeah.
So you step on them, your dog chews on them. Hopefully the internals survive, and you could just put them in a new home.
Yep, and they come in like a bunch of colors. If you just get them stock and don't specify some color, there's a like kind of a reddish orange with black tiger stripes kind of marbled in there. But I'm going to have some charts on the website that you can pick what color you want to order. I mean, there's glittery colors for you, Sam. There's kind of more of a.
Listen, if he wants to send me glittery ones to review, I'll take them. He could send me glitter, but.
All right. So I mean, you can have them colored however you'd like when they're making these. It comes with some cleaning cloth, a little high-impact carrying case. It comes with some lubricant to help if they're brand new and you want to kind of reduce the friction in your ears when you're first trying them out. And it also comes with a cleaning solution too to get some of that earwax that might get built up on them to remove that. It's got a tool for removing and replacing the battery, which is also doubles as kind of like a cleaning loop. And then it also comes with an instructional DVD as well, so you're not left high and dry on how to care and maintain for them as well as use them. So, anyway, that is the... Oh, wait, we got listener feedback to talk about this week. We got 2 new reviews. One's from Dirty Dog Paws. He left us a 5-star review. He said, "This Gun and Gear Review podcast is getting better and better. I listen to this podcast going and coming home from work. Great source of information. I have been listening to this podcast from the first day they came out. Keep doing the great job. Keep it up, Dirty Dog Paws." And then the next reviewer is from Call Me Big Daddy. He says, "Informative and relevant reviews are well laid out, informative, and keep me up to date on the new products in the marketplace. Keep up the good work." Keep up the awesome usernames is what I have to say.
Who wrote that review?
Call Me Big Daddy.
Oh, Big Daddy.
I just like hearing you say it, that's all.
Yeah, I knew it. So thanks for doing those reviews. Obviously, those 2 guys that have emailed me are listed in the Greenie hand case giveaway, or handgun case giveaway. So if you want to be a part of that, you're got a week left to be able to enter for that. So this week we're plugging 2 podcasts because we've had 2 fellow podcasting members join us. So first off, we're plugging the Guns of Hollywood podcast, in which Samuel is from. Yeah, tell us about it, buddy.
Guns of Hollywood. Guys probably heard me talk about it before, but we take a look at guns in Hollywood, movies, TV shows, the actors, the tactics, the guns, the weapons, and kind of take each week we take a show and we go for it. Me and Allie have been recording weekly, and we're kind of recording double so we could take a little break towards the end of the year. So just did Die Hard before we came on this show, and that'll be airing in like a month. And tomorrow we're doing Goldfinger, getting to do another Bond movie, so that's exciting. But check us out,
nice.
gunsofhollywood.com.
It's a very, very good podcast. You guys are doing an awesome job. It's very entertaining because it's great. For all those out there, they should definitely check it out.
Thank you very much.
Well, and then we got Nick's podcast, the Practically Tactical podcast. Tell us about that, man.
Well, if you want to get irritated by gun snobs, if you want to listen to some very top firearms instructors, come on the show and listen up, and probably prepare to get irritated and send me hate mail. That's what we're good at lately. So.
Well, very good. So if you want to listen to that, go to practacpodcast.com.
Yep, practacpodcast.com.
Sweet. So that concludes the show. Make sure you send questions or comments to podcast@firearmsinsider.tv or myself, 2 more times. cross@firearmsradio.tv. You can see how I get tongue-tied on those. Remember to subscribe and leave us an iTunes review, especially if you'd like to win some free gear that we try and do a few times a month. Check out all the other shows on the Firearms Radio Network at www.firearmsradio.tv/iTunes. And be sure to visit the firearmsinsider.tv website for all the new reviews added weekly, as well as future industry coverage. So thanks again, guys, for joining me. Always appreciate having expert opinion on. And then Nick.
Hey, I take offense to that. I am no expert. I am just a guy who likes guns, and I say what I see. I'm no expert.
the three of us, four if you want to include TJ, who's probably halfway to Brazil by now, we know very little about a whole lot. So that's one thing you can always take away is we might not be experts, but we know a little bit about everything.
If you put all four of us together, you equal maybe half an expert.
There we go.
There you go.
Yeah,
we should just rename the show the Half Experts Podcast.
Oh man, that's actually not a bad.
It's actually pretty darn good.
It's a pretty good name.
Trademark
it, guys.
Somebody trademark it.
All right.
Yep. Well, have a good week. Thanks for joining me. Have a great, safe week. Stay warm, and I'll catch you on the next episode.
Always.
Yep.